Well, the 2011 ABC gathering is just a huge gathering of a static display of sorts of cars, motorcycles, and aircraft here at the Kincardine Municipal Airport. This is the third time around that we've done this event. In 2008, it was kind of impromptu. It came as a result of another request to put on an air show for the local reunion in Kincardine, and when the budget wasn't there for a full-blown air show, I thought, well, we can put together a static display. And that's where the whole thing originated out of. So I came up with the name, did a little research, and found there's similar events like this all over UK. And came up with the name ABC for Aero Bikes and Cars, and away we went with it. In 2009, the next year we did it, it turned out to be much more than we ever expected successfully in terms of people. We had roughly 6,000 people here in 2009. And throughout the course of the day this year, we expect to have roughly the same numbers. I mean, it's not the kind of event where everybody plunks down in one spot at one time and you see 6,000 there. They're coming and going constantly, and that's the nature of the event, right? It's the freedom of people to come out and be able to, take their aircraft home if they wish, or show up for an hour or two and then take it back. Same with the car, same with the bikes. So it has that freedom and that kind of uniqueness in that sense where you're not locked into being here all day. Well, you're going to see a great collection of, new and antique classic aircraft, bikes, and cars. For instance, right now out in the car area, there's I'm not sure what year it is, but a 1930s kind of an Art Deco motif hearse. So it has the rollers in the back for the casket and everything. It's kind of morbid in a way, but it's a very unique looking vehicle. You go out and look at it. The PBY Cancel sitting here off to my right, a very unique aircraft in World War II for maritime patrol and, sinking of submarines and enemy warships, that kind of thing. You don't see too many aircraft that are that designed, so that's quite unique. And we have other stuff here. We have our fuel supplier here promoting their product, Petrol Value. We have the de Havilland and Beaver, which is a classic, Canadian bush plane with the floats on it, right? In terms of motorcycles, we have the Vintage Road Race Association in here showing some of their vintage road race machines. We have Ducati here, North America, showing off all their new 2011 motorcycles. Go over there and have a look at the back tire on the new Ducati Diavel, which is their new cruiser type bike, and it's just immense. So just all kinds of stuff. The whole idea being is that it's an attractive show for what we call the petrol heads in the UK, or the gearheads, I like to call them over here. People that are into all stuff mechanical, whether it be aircraft, bikes, or cars, right? And this is the perfect place for them to come out and see that kind of stuff that they wouldn't otherwise see, or they would have to go to 3 different areas of Ontario to see the stuff that we have all here in one spot today. Probably the biggest reason this event's great for Kincardine is it adds to our tourism base. We've got a lot of people come from far and wide to come in here. Some people come in here from all the way down the States, Vancouver, that kind of thing. The other big reason it's a great event for our community is because we take a big portion of our proceeds from the gate takings, and they go back to 3 local charities. Actually 4 this year. We went with the 3 same charities we selected in 2009 after that event, and in 2009 we donated a total of around $6,500 to 3 local charities, the Women's House, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the Community Living group. And then in this year we've added on something that's kind of dear to my heart and my girlfriend, because we're cat lovers, animal lovers. We adopted a cat from Cozy Cat Kennels in Kincardine. So they're going to get a little bit of our money this year because Helga Zeekley, who runs Cozy Cats in Kincardine, does just an awesome job in what she does, taking in strays and looking after strays and then trying to find them homes. So we're helping her out a little bit because the costs in that are, can get quite high too for food and looking after them. So it's not easy. It really isn't. Just when you think you got everything nailed down, then it's like any event. Stuff changes, right? Everything's always in a constant state of flux. We have one aircraft that's here today that has a bit of a problem with hydraulic fluid leaking. We had other aircraft that were supposed to come that didn't show. You have to plan for that. So basically you overplan as far as the number of motorcycles or the number of aircraft that you ask to come or invite to come. You over-invite because you know there's always going to be some that won't show because of attrition, right? So, and it all works out okay. So in the previous 2 years we've done this, we've heard nothing but good. I mean, it's just people absolutely love it, and that's why it's become so popular, and that's why we have such a following on you know, our website this year, and Facebook we're on for the first time. And, you know, the local people love it. The people who come from far and wide love it. Yeah, it's just, I have nothing bad that I've ever heard said by anybody about the show. So I'm an avid motorcyclist. I used to road race motorcycles. I've been riding motorcycles since I was about 8 years old, and I've been flying since I was about that age too with my father. In fact, recently they did a profile on me in Flying Magazine, which is a worldwide flying magazine about aviation called Flying, and I was in there talking about my training, and my training to get my license, pilot's license, is unique because I did it through my father, right, because he's an instructor. So yeah, it's a toss-up between the bikes and the planes. We're probably the aircraft, win out over the motorcycles. Probably the biggest influence was my father. He was started working on his license back in the late 60s, and I was around the, 4 or 5 years of age. I was born in 64, so I started flying with him, and you know, started taking the controls at that age, around 8 or so, and learned a whole lot that you could, you normally, like, you have to wait till you're 16 to actually get your license, but I did a lot of flying and had a lot of experience doing various things well before that. I didn't take it up as a career. Maybe I should have, I don't know, but nonetheless, I'm licensed and I fly now and then, probably not as much as I should do, especially when you're organizing this particular show. But yeah, in '09, just prior to our show, I got to fly at the back seat of the Harvard and actually fly the aircraft instead of just sitting there, so that was very cool. That's in my logbook, actually, so it's in there and it's stamped in there.
It's great for the community spirit of the area, and it also goes to show how many volunteers that we have. An event like this couldn't happen unless a lot of people got behind it and dedicated their time. And you know, the other thing, another great benefit from it is any of the profits that come from this event are going to be donated to local charities. And if you hear them from the stage, you'll hear them talking about supporting the Kincardine Hospital Foundation and a number of other good charities, Women's House of Bruce County. So, you know, it's just a win-win-win on so many different levels. Well, it means more visitors and more tourism, more opportunities, more awareness of our municipality, and it's also a great thing to promote, you know, not residential, not the word I'm looking for, but sport flying, and for people to get together and visit with their neighbors and show off their toys and just have fun. It's just a great community event. What else? How else would you say it? So, well, me personally, I'm a motorcycle guy, so I really like the bikes, but I also love aircraft and cars. But I've been a motorcycle aficionado since I was a kid, so my favorite part is motorcycles. But the other two are very close seconds. So, I like sport touring. I like all of it. There's really none that I don't like. It's really interesting to see, you know, some of the current bikes, as well as see bikes and aircraft that go right back to inception. You know, take a look at some of the aircraft around here. There's a lot of history around them. We've got like First World War aircraft, Second World War aircraft, and modern, you know, ultralights and the whole gambit. So, you know, there's something here for everybody.
It's quite a magnificent aircraft. It's a de Havilland Chipmunk, built in Toronto, and it was actually designed and built in Canada. And it was used as a primary trainer in the Royal Canadian Air Force. And oddly enough, back in the day, I worked on them on the ramp as a mechanic, and always wanted one. In later life, I was lucky enough to get this one and bought it. A lot of history. It was based at Centralia, not too far from here, in the Air Force, and trained many students for the military. Did their primary training on it, and then graduated up to the Harvard, and then to the jets. I became very interested in the Air Force when I started doing some aerobatic flying and thought I'd like to do it. So I started that and ended up doing it for a livelihood and enjoyed every minute of it.
The aircraft we're flying today is the North American Harvard. It's known as the T6 in the States, and up here it's the SNJ, or sorry, it's the North American Harvard. The aircraft that you see here is a 1946 model. It's part of the Trillium Foundation it's one of the Trillium Foundation aircraft that we received a grant for to restore and get to flying status. The aircraft itself is a 1946. It's operated by the Canadian Harvard Aircraft Association, and I've got it up here for the weekend, giving rides and showing it off and displaying it for the public. Well, part of the mandate of our organization, the Canadian Harvard Aircraft Association, is to display, demonstrate, and talk about the aircraft. So our job is to bring the aircraft to events like this and talk about the aircraft itself, but also talk about its role in the British Commonwealth Air Training Program. The British Commonwealth Air Training Program was responsible for training every pilot that flew in World War II and subsequently later on after World War II. This aircraft itself was probably responsible for training, the number is unlimited, thousands and thousands of men to basically go to battle. The Harvard was the first aircraft you flew before you went into the Mustangs, the Spitfires, anything like that. It was actually designed as an advanced trainer, and so the progression was you'd start off in a Tiger Moth, move into the Harvard, and once you flew the Harvard, it's a fully aerobatic airplane. It'll show your faults, it'll show everything you do right, everything you do wrong, and once you get through this, you then moved on to the Hurricanes and the Mustangs and the Spitfires and the Lancasters. There's basically 2 or 3 routes you would follow. You'd go through the Harvard into Bomber Command, where you would fly the Lancaster, the B-25s, the Cansos, and that kind of thing, or you would go into Fighter Command, which was the Spitfires, the Hurricanes, the Mustangs, and that kind of stuff. This aircraft is probably valued at somewhere in the range of $130,000. The aircraft range anywhere from 90,000 right up to a really mint condition one, 200 in that area. It's a very nice airplane to fly. When you fly it well, it rewards you. When you fly it badly, it tells you really quickly that you're flying it badly. But I mean, you know, when you come into an airport like this, it's yellow, everybody looks at it, everybody comes up to see it. This was actually, this aircraft was restored using money from the Ontario government, the Ontario Trillium Foundation. They gave us the cash to restore it, to bring it up to as you see it today. And we show the aircraft off, and we also talk about the Trillium Fund as well, because they helped us out.
I want to thank the people who showed up and brought the planes, brought their bikes, and the general public. Yeah, absolutely, for coming out and enjoying the show.